Wilson keeps it. Ducking around trouble, throws it.
The NFL is a league built on production, sure, but it's also built on tolerance. When a player's drama to impact ratio tips the wrong way, it doesn't matter how many tools they have. Eventually, the most desperate general manager will reach that breaking point, where it's clear that the guy is just not worth the headache anymore.
First play of the drive, evades the rusher, on the move, sideline, Tyreek Hill.
Talent only gets you so far when you've exhausted your second chances. So, how about we talk about the 15 players whose names still spark interest amongst fans, but whose act looks like to have finally worn thin amongst the decision makers in NFL front offices. Aaron Rodgers QB, Pittsburgh Steelers. Now that he's well past 40, it's clear for Aaron Rodgers that the body is fragile after another injury-plagued season. Gone are the days where number 12 struck fear into opposing defensive coordinators, players, and fans alike.
2nd and 3 on the fake. Rodgers going for the end zone. It is caught!
And yet, that didn't stop Pittsburgh from rolling the dice on him in free agency, and frankly, put all of their eggs in his basket while they waited around for him to sign. And while there are some Steelers fans that are excited, it's hard not to feel like Pittsburgh got something closer to a philosophy professor trapped in his own thoughts, who's more likely to dish out cryptic quotes than touchdowns. Yeah, the arm's still there, but the mobility has trailed off in a major way. And if you look back at the tape last year with the Jets, it's clear that he's not the same guy anymore.
Wilson in motion. Rodgers, step up. Rodgers is sacked and loses the ball!
And unfortunately for the good people of Steel City, Rodgers' game is no longer enough to justify his headache, especially for a franchise like Pittsburgh, which thrives on grit and consistency. The drama and uncertainty really are not worth the gamble anymore. And it's actually a bit shocking that they even took this path. Kirk Cousins QB, Atlanta Falcons. Being pretty good is how you stick around, not how you win titles, and also definitely not how you build a legacy. It's clear now that Atlanta is a team circling the Cousins exit ramp, and are going to be moving forward with their former first-round pick, Michael Penix Jr., who filled in for Cousins down the stretch of last season once his performance was truly inexcusable.
Matthews the block. Cousins up the middle. Throws, end zone, intercepted!
And now, well, the situation is murky. Yeah, they gave him the contract, but they're already eyeing a trade while they hand the key to someone younger, cheaper, and less meh. And you know what? For quarterback-needy teams thinking, we're just one guy away, here's the warning. Tread lightly. Best case scenario, Cousins can steady his ship, but he is not sailing it to a Lombardi. He's more Band-Aid than solution. And if Atlanta's already over it with him, maybe that should tell the rest of the league something dire. Tyreek Hill WR, Miami Dolphins. Yes, it is true that Tyreek Hill is still fast enough to burn corners, but age and injuries are starting to wear him down again. Making matters worse, even when he's at his best, Tyreek is electric until December. Then the playoffs roll around, and, well, he just always seems to sputter.
Got one-on-one opportunities everywhere.
Looking at this one-on-one to Tyreek. Oh, couldn't quite pull it in.
And while the off-field controversies have mostly cooled, the residue is still there, especially with the attitude he's put forth in the media. I mean, after the year he had in 2024, the gall to make the comments that he did at the end of the season was truly something.
First play of the drive, evades the rusher, on the move, sideline, Tyreek Hill.
Combine that with a week-to-week locker room presence that dances between animated and exhausting, and it's no wonder the Dolphins are starting to entertain a future without the game-breaking receiver. If we haven't hit the point yet, it's just a matter of time before Hill is far from worth the trouble, especially given his size and the amount that he relies on his freakish athleticism and speed. Chase Young, Edge, New Orleans Saints. Physically, Chase Young still looks the part. He's basically the prototype for a dominant edge rusher in the NFL. Biceps like suspension cables and all the raw speed and power a DC could want. But on Sundays, he's giving you more stalled project to the second overall pick. The knee's no longer the excuse, and yet the pass rush is wildly inconsistent. You see moments, sure, but they're just that, moments, nothing else. New Orleans is crossing fingers for a breakout, but the real question is how long you keep praying for that potential to materialize. Deebo Samuel WR, Washington Commanders. Peak Deebo was poetry in motion, and when he had the ball in his hands, angry poetry. There was a time when Deebo didn't just play football, he looked like he changed the game. That blend of violence and vision made him a unicorn of sorts. But lately, he's been more of a meh than matchup problem. Injuries and inconsistency have turned the explosive wide back into a sporadic spark plug at best. Washington is betting that he'll light up the offense, but with how he looks in camp so far, it's hard to think that they're gonna get a version of Deebo that is worth the stress of keeping him happy. Von Miller, edge, free agent. The resume is a first ballot lock, but the tape from 2024 was, underwhelming to say the very least. No one is questioning the legacy. I mean, Von's ticket to Canton is already printed, no matter how hard he tries to taint it. But we gotta call it straight. He is a shell of his former self.
But the Bills have been able to withstand it. 4th and goal. Thompson, he slips and down he goes.
The instincts are there sometimes, but man, that burst isn't. And it shows. He is fighting father time with finesse, not force, and the results have been disappointing and definitely not worth all the off-the-field issues. Stephon Diggs, WR, New England Patriots. There was a time when Diggs made route running look effortless, but coming off another season-ending injury, who knows what we can expect from the vet. His production has dipped for 2 straight seasons. His sideline presence reads like someone auditioning for a solo project, and now he's trying to reboot in New England of all places. Only, he seems a little more focused on extracurricular activities than justifying the headache that comes with employing a diva like Diggs. Kyle Pitts, TE, Atlanta Falcons. Alright, I think it's time we all stop pretending. Pitts is not a breakout waiting to happen. The man is a mirage. The athleticism is still there, but man, the effort, the energy, the development? Non-existent. His chemistry with each Atlanta quarterback has been worse than the last.
Cousins, first read taken away. Left side, he throws. Wide open, Pitts!
Fans still love the idea of Kyle Pitts, but eventually, fantasy football hype runs out of excuses, and that just isn't enough to validate keeping him in town, if you ask me. Dak Prescott QB, Dallas Cowboys. 2024 was supposed to be Dak and the Cowboys' time. Revitalized protection, stronger weapons. Only thing that was missing was a clean bill of health. But then again, with Prescott, it always seems to be something. Whether he's getting injured or delivered a regular season juggernaut and disappeared in January, the Dak experience just never seems like a worthwhile investment. He is no longer the plucky 4th-round hero that looked poised to rescue Cowboys fans from the purgatory of rooting for Tony Romo.
Prescott gonna carry. Flip.
Now he's become the evil that he sought to destroy, and is the guy that they keep waiting on to elevate. And based on the sentiment that is growing in Dallas, the wait is getting old. Russell Wilson, QB, New York Giants. Wilson's second act in Denver was a full-blown misfire. Then he went to Pittsburgh to recapture the old magic, but his legs don't buy him time anymore, and his decision-making is a lot slower than it used to be. Needless to say, that did not go well either.
Wilson keeps it. Ducking around trouble, throws it.
Yet for some reason, the New York Giants decided to add him into the mix, despite his affinity for ostracizing his teammates and deathly fear of throwing over the middle. The man has still got the experience to manage games, but the juice hardly looks worth the squeeze these days. Sad to say it, but he's simply no longer Mr. Unlimited. Joey Bosa, edge, Buffalo Bills. At his peak, Bosa's a one-man demolition crew. Problem is, man's never on the field. Lower body injuries have turned him into an annual ghost story. Everyone swears that he's real, but man, you hardly see him. The Bills got a bit of a discount, but still gave him solid edge money, especially for a guy averaging cameo appearances. The longer this pattern goes, the more it feels like Bosa's dominance is truly a thing of the past, and he's just a waste of a spot on the depth chart. Mekhi Becton, OT, Los Angeles Chargers. Every single year, it is the same script. If Becton stays healthy, and every single year, it ends in the same place. off the field, rehabbing, with conditioning questions swirling. Remember how well that went for the Jets? They invested a high first-round draft pick in him, built their line, and really, a lot of their offense around the production that they expected from him. But he couldn't do the right things off the field that he needed to do in order to stay on it. Of course, that's the Jets, an organization where what can go wrong will go wrong. And the Eagles took a low-risk flyer, hoping that the massive talent could finally live up to the billing, and they struck gold, as he played a big part of that offensive front that carried them to a Super Bowl victory. However, like lightning, do not expect gold to strike twice, especially not now that he's in a new city with a big contract. And, well, all the distractions in the world to keep him from getting prepared for game day. Let's just say that Jim Harbaugh is going to have his work cut out for him this year, trying to get some kind of return on the Becton acquisition. George Pickkins WR, Dallas Cowboys. George Pickkins is undeniably talented. His highlight catches rank among the best in the league. He's big, physical, and fast. Frankly, the guy's a matchup nightmare. But the problem isn't what he can do, it's what he consistently doesn't. His game-to-game management fluctuates, route effort varies, and his maturity continues to be a concern. And, well, that's putting it lightly. It felt like during his days with the Steelers, every other week it was something. Either fighting with an opponent, screaming at coaches, or a teammate. It just never stopped. For Dallas, this creates a major challenge heading into the first year of the partnership. Can you trust him to be a reliable part of the offense, or are you constantly managing unpredictability? At some point, fans and teams alike want more than potential. They need professionalism. Or at least enough professionalism to get through a season without causing strife in the locker room or a circus around the team in the media. Something that Dallas innately struggles with already. Only time will tell, but man, I don't know if this guy's worth the headache. Not unless he can get those emotions in check. Aziz Alsha LB, Houston Texans. Aziz Alsha was brought in ahead of the 2024 season to be a tone setter in Houston's defense. But given where he's at in his career, there are legitimate questions as to whether he's a worthwhile investment at this point. For a team looking to build a playoff caliber unit, that's a pretty big concern. Coaches and fans hoped for a leader in the middle of the defense after what they saw him deliver down in the Music City. But instead, they got a guy who couldn't stop doling out dirty hits and making dumb comments in the media trying to validate them. Tack on his reputation for an ornery attitude and untimely penalties, and there's a big chance that they have really only gotten average production without the spark of leadership leap that'll actually justify the pain of dealing with a linebacker who wants to play the villain all the time. Yeah, okay, Aziz, whatever you say. Just a matter of time until teams are tired of dealing with this act. Trayvon Diggs, CB, Dallas Cowboys. Diggs is always exciting, but man, you never know what fan base is going to be getting hyped up. One snap, he's channeling Prime Revis, the next he's chasing shadows and getting burned for a touchdown. That risk-reward game was palatable when he was healthy and hawking picks, but post-injury, man, the margin for error has evaporated. Dallas committed big money hoping for the playmaker. What they might have brought in is a gambler who just cannot stay on the field. But hey, which NFL star do you think is least worth the headache? Who would you want on their team? Who do you think is gonna fall off? Which guys do you think we're wrong about? Who do you think we got right? Let us know in the comment section below. If you like this video and learned a thing or two, then hey, clicking the like button helps us out a ton. And you know, we really appreciate it. If this is your first time coming around to TPS though, then subscribing is a great idea, because we put out videos like this every single day. But as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.